Hello friends, welcome back to EduTap Himachal Pradesh Administrative Services channel. In this session, we are going to continue with our economic discussion. Just to give you a recap, in the last session, we had talked about all the economic indices within a particular PDF, where we had discussed about the different indices, inflation indices particularly. So in this session, we are going to deal with another important topic that is very important with respect to the HPAS exam. So the topic is human development. So let's proceed ahead. So before trying to understand what this topic is, we must understand the relevance. That is why we are studying this topic, because questions from this particular topic have been asked directly in the HPAS prelims exam in various years, and this is one such particular question that was asked in the year 2019, and the question goes this way. So which among the following variables or factors are not used in constructing Human Development Index of India? So if you understand this particular topic, that is Human Development Index, after studying this topic, you will be able to answer this question and any question that would be coming from this particular topic. So let's proceed ahead and understand what is Human Development Index. See, the latest report is of year 2020. The report is released annually by the United Nations Development Program. United Nations Development Program. And it was first released for the first time in the year 1990, and it was done by these two economists. This is Professor Amartya Sen, and he is the main architect of this Human Development Index, who is known as Mehboob ul Haq, who is a Pakistani economist. Mehboob ul Haq. See friends, if we directly jump onto human development, we will not get the context in which we are discussing this. So let's proceed ahead, try to understand in what context, what was the need for this particular index in the first place. So in order to answer that question, we need to understand the basic differences between growth and development. So let us look at the first, what is the concept of growth and development. So I would like to illustrate a story. Suppose in a country, this is a country, just a hypothetical example, there are 10 people and everyone is earning 100 rupees, then the income of this particular country would be 1000, that is 100 into 10. Now suppose this is in one particular year, and next year what happens is, out of these 10 people, 5 people are earning around 150 rupees and other 5 people are earning 70 rupees. So what would be the scenario now? 150 into 5, it is 150 into 5, 750, and here it is 70 rupees, 350. So sum would be 1100. If we this is a quantitative measure of looking at the income of the country, income of this particular country. You would say that the income has increased, hence there is a growth in this particular country, but that is not the case. You can see that in the case of 5 people, the income has increased from 100 to 150, and in case of 5 people, the income has decreased, or rather fallen from the 100 to 70. So there is a inequality or disparity growing in the country. So if everyone grows along with the rise in the income of the country, then that is development. So let us look at the let us now try to understand what is economic development and growth. See, economic growth is purely a narrower concept than economic development. It has a very narrow context. That is, if you were to ask in the same example, just because the income has increased, that is from 1000 to 1100, we would say that there is a growth. But development focuses on economic growth as well as the standard of living, that there should not be any disparity within the income that exists between the different set of people. Like there were a few people who had started earning more than 100, that is 150, and few people had income had decreased from 100 to 70. There should be equality among all the people is what development emphasizes. See, just to extend this particular topic of development, if you were to ask the standard of living that is mentioned here, if you look at the country's perspective, like India and many other poor countries in Africa and other underdeveloping countries, the standard of living encompasses many factors such as access to water, sanitation, electricity, cooking fuel and floor, whether everyone has an access to his own her house. You could see that people are living out in the streets amidst the very cold winters. So that all is encompassed within the standard of living. If everyone is living a good quality of life, then we can say that we are economically developed, or rather we are developed. But just the rise in the GDP of a country does not reflect that there is a growth of that country. So that the focus, if the focus is only on the GDP, then that is a growth. But we as a country, if I were to ask you what would you focus on, would it be rather growth or the development? I think you might have got your answer, that is development, because it is the most important aspect of any country to focus on the welfare of every individual who resides within a particular country. Now let us look at the scope of these two terms, that is development and growth. If you are looking at the economic development, it is a multidimensional concept, multidimensional phenomena, as it not only focuses on the income of people but also the improvement of the living standards of the people. And if you look at economic growth, it is a unidimensional. It focuses only on the income of the people. So let me correlate this particular fact to the index that has been developed by both the economists of Amartya Sen and Mehboob Ulaq. See, during the 1950s, and prior to that, the entire world, that is United Nations and many other countries, used to measure the progress of a country through the growth in the GDP of a country. So that was a very crude measure or indicator of the progress of a country, because we have just now understood that growth does not encapsulate, or it does not give us a clear picture whether there is a progress in the overall quality of the life of the people. Hence, the both economists came up with a beautiful index of Human Development Index, where they could see or measure what exactly is the development of a country's people. That is the reason why they had to come up with a indicator or the index called Human Development Index. Now let us move on to the other differences also. What does this mean? Economic development, it is a long-term process, and this is a short-term process. So what do we mean by short-term? If you look at the financial year, which is from April to May, this is given in a particular year, whereas development is a continuous process that is carrying on since the birth of a country. So that is the entire concept behind that. And the measurement. See, the economic development, how do you measure development? So what is the quality, good quality of life? Good quality of life. This is a very subjective term. So being able to quantify development is a tough task in itself. But both the economists have tried to, you see, development is a very broad concept. You cannot limit it to just health, education, standard of living. There are many other aspects as well. But in order to quantify that particular vague concept or abstract concept, both the economists had come up with Human Development Index, Gender Related Index, Human Poverty Index, and all the other types of index. And how is economic growth measured? It is a quantitative term, increase in real GDP. So these are the four terms, and there are few more, which is economic development. It is related to underdeveloping and developing nation. That is underdeveloped and developing nation. Economic growth is purely related to the developed countries of the world. And apart from that, we are now looking at the last and the important difference, that is the effect. What does the economic development, if we are focusing on the developmental aspect, what will be its effect? We will see that there is an improvement in the life expectancy rate, infant mortality rate, and all the other indices such as mortality rate. The education level within the country will improve, the poverty levels will come down. So that is the kind of impact we will have if we are focusing on the developmental aspect. And if we are focusing only on the economic growth, then the indicators such as crude indicators of per capita income, the GDP would be rising. So in this context, when there was a time period when all the countries used to measure the progress of their own country via the growth indicators of GDP and per capita income. But that concept was demystified, or that concept was proven false by both the economists, that is Amartya Sen and Mehboob Ulaq. From then on, since 1990, all the countries are now particularly concerned about their ranking within the Human Development Index. So now let us move on to the Human Development Index. So the development is a very broad term, but the index that has been compiled by both the economists encapsulates three important dimensions. One is long and healthy life, the other one is the education or knowledge, the other one is the standard of living. So what do we mean by all these three terms? So let us try to understand what we mean by long and healthy life. Suppose a child is born, then we are assuming that there is a normal mortality rate. For example, people dying of many complications such as dengue and many other diseases which are tending to occur at that particular age. If the mortality rate is a normal rate, then the normal child that has born, how long will that child go on to live? That is a life expectancy at birth, which is measured by life expectancy index. So we will be looking at what is the life expectancy in India. If a new child is born, then how long would a child go on to live his or her life? Then within education we have two parameters, two indicators. One is expected years of schooling and mean years of schooling. So I will tell you the difference between what is the expected years and mean years. See, the children who are less than 18 years of age, how many years are they expected to live or have their education completed? How many years of their life? This is particularly relevant only to children who are less than 18 years old. So this index, that is expected years of schooling, measures how many years of their life are they expected to stay in the school, so continue with their education within the school. And the mean years of schooling is particularly related to people who are 25 years older, 25 years or older than that. So the mean years of schooling is anyone who is 25 years or older, how many years of their life have they been a part of an academic life. Just to take an instance, I am 28 years old now, then I have completed my BTech degree. So I have stayed within the course of education for some particular 16 so odd years. So anyone who has completed PhD would be that value would be increasing. So that is the indicator, and this index is measured using both the indicators. We need not get into the calculation of that particular index. And standard of living, I would like to bring your focus upon this particular important key difference, that here the focus is on GNI. This particular index, which is released by United Nations Development Program, does not focus on GDP and rather focuses on GNI. So because it will also include the other residents that are part of that particular country, and this is a very recent figure which highlights the per capita income. So now if you were to measure Human Development Index, it would be geometric mean of all the three indices, that is life expectancy index and education index into GNI index. So you just remember this thing, it is a geometric mean, not an arithmetic mean. So now let us look at what is India's ranking and where does India stand. As per the recent released index, that is in 2020, the latest index was released by the United Nations, and India was standing at a rank of 131 among the various other countries. Now we look at the various other dimensions. See, life expectancy at birth is a part of SDG 3, and expected years of schooling, that is quality of education, is related to SDG 4, and the standard of living is related to SDG 8. So this encapsulates all the SDGs that are part of the United Nations. And apart from that, let us look at the values. So life expectancy at birth, we are comparing India with other countries. Now we are comparing India in 2019 vis-a-vis when the first index was released, that is in 1990. You can see that how life expectancy at birth has improved from 57.9 to 69.7. So this is quite an improvement that India has seen, and the governments of the day have been particularly focusing on this developmental aspect. And if you look at the expected years of schooling, which was 7.6 back in 1990, now it is 12.2. So there is a growth, and still we have a large amount of ladder to climb up. And if you look at the mean years of schooling, it was 3, now it is 6.5. So if you take the country's perspective, the large amount of population, then the figure is quite low. So still it has to improve. And GNI per capita income, it was $1787 back in 1990, and it is based on PPP, that is purchasing power parity, and here in 2019 it is 6681. So the entire HDI value has improved from 0.429 to 0.645. So you can see that there is a more than 50% increment in the value of HDI. Now if you look at the trend here, in 1990 this was the value, that is the different indicators: life expectancy at birth, education, and GNI per capita income, and this is HDI. This is the HDI value, and overall you can see that which was 0.4 somewhere here has improved to 0.659. So that is the increment here, and trends that we see in the particular HDI value between 1990 to 2019, and the entire categories of HDI and HDI value are ranging from this particular index, and India stands in this particular, that is medium human development, where the score of HDI will range from 0.550 to 0.699. So the real target or objective for a country would be to move on to this particular figure, that is very high human development, so that all the people who have adequate skills would also contribute to the growth of the nation. So friends, that's all we have in this particular session. Before winding up, I have a homework question. Go through this question and check whether you are able to answer this question, and let me know by typing in the comment section below. And if you have any topic that you want to learn, you can comment in the section below. We would be coming up with that particular topic. Thank you friends. For more such interesting videos, subscribe to our channel. Thank you.